Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with Austin from Ohio, and today is Monday, March 29th, 2021. Today I have a couple things for you, and I am officially on my schedule that I set for myself, and I am making videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I have to reiterate that because not many people, I don't think, have seen or heard that, or maybe they forgot about it, but yeah, so I'm just doing videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday now, so just be expecting videos then. A couple things for you here today that caught my eye and just things that I want to go over. I had a lot of conversations today with different people about things that are going on, and for the most part, not too bad, honestly. Unless people were just agreeing with me, because people just are yes men all the time now. But yep, the world that we live in is an insane place. And I wanted to tell you guys, Carol is suspended again on the main channel. She put something up of a doctor that he put up himself. His video is still up somehow, but Carol's got taken down, and she is currently suspended for 2 weeks. You can find her over at Never Lose Truth 3 Kafka, and I will post a link in the description once this video is done uploading, because I'm on a phone, I'm not on a computer, so I can't do all that in one thing. Yeah, so you can find her over there. Speaking of suspension, I will be back on my main channel, I think Wednesday. So if you're not subscribed to Austin from Ohio, my original channel, please go over there and subscribe. If I get one more video taken down on this channel, I'll be suspended for 2 weeks. And ironically, if I get one more taken down off of Austin from Ohio 3, which is also up, and I will leave a link also to that in the description. Please go subscribe there, because I'm sure I'll be there eventually. But let's dig into the news, and up to bat first is this little piece right here, and this is absolutely terrifying. This is something that was merely a, quote, conspiracy theory this time last year. Something that would never be considered, now being championed as the way to get us all back to normal. How many times do I have to go and take that quote from Klaus Schwab out of the book C-19, The Great Reset, where he said, quote, "Many of us are pondering when life will return to normal. The short response is never." They've already had this stuff ready to go, and there is no going back to the way it used to be. It's just not going to happen. It's never happened in the history of dictatorships when they come to power. And it sure as hell ain't going to happen when they finally got their world government. But New York launches first digital C-19 V passport. Excelsior Pass is a free voluntary platform offering secure verification of test results and V records. Yep, on your phone. You won't be able to go anywhere. And some people might say, oh, this is in New York. This ain't going to happen anywhere else. Well, I got news for you. If it happens in one state, it can happen in any state. And this specifically will happen in all states. Absolutely. New Yorkers can now tap into a digital passport to prove they've been V'd against recently tested negative for C-19. Okay. Empire State's first of its kind platform, dubbed Excelsior Pass, was developed in partnership with IBM to confirm a recent negative PCR or antigen test result or proof of V. Think of it like a mobile airline boarding pass. You may choose to carry a printed copy or store a digital version in your smartphone. using the Excelsior Pass wallet app. Each document features a secure QR code for business and venues to scan. Look at this. Oh, man, before I even read this. Okay. Before I even read this. Did we not see this coming? Yes, we did, didn't we? We seen this coming a mile away because we were listening to people like BG. We were reading the papers. Richie was on it, man. He had everything put out all throughout 2020. We all knew mainly because of him. That man is a real warrior for truth. And it sucks that he's not on YouTube anymore. But you could find him at RFB TV. I pay $2.99 a month for it. He uploads a lot over there, and he's still going strong. Richie from Boston is not dead. People keep saying that. I don't know why people keep saying that, but he's not dead. Thankfully, he's not dead. A lot of stuff going on. Project Zypher and Pogo, but he's not dead. Just wanted to put that to rest. Also, does this not sound like something... Does this not sound like maybe something they have over in China? Does it not sound like the credit score, the social credit score, which it will be used for that? This is technocracy rising. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. Sorry, ma'am, you can't buy food here, and you're not going to be allowed to feed your family because we're going to have to see proof of records. Come on. Quote, this is from the governor of New York. Quote, New Yorkers have proven they can follow public health guidance to beat back C. And the innovative Excelsior Pass is another tool in our new toolbox to fight the V, while allowing more sectors of the economy to reopen safely and keeping personal information secure. If they have your information, it's not secure ever. If they have your information, it is a done deal. One could argue that they have all of our information, which is the truth, but there's no such thing in the digital age as keeping information secure. If it's on the internet, any website you visit, you are always at risk for hackers, for viruses, all of that. The pass will help individuals gain entry into New York theaters, stadiums, and arenas, wedding receptions, catered events, and other social gatherings. Major venues like Manhattan's Madison Square Garden and the Times Union Center in Albany have already registered interest. From April 2nd, Excelsior Pass will expand to smaller arts, entertainment, and event locales. And eventually, gas stations, I think they already said restaurants. Nope. But yeah, it will be restaurants, gas stations, dollar stores, there will be no small business, so I can't even say it'll be small business. Oh, stupid group chat my family is always doing. Close to Easter, so my family's having a huge dinner. Yes, I know Easter is worship, pagan worship. But I like to eat food, and I just use it as like a gathering. And I know it has nothing to do with our Lord. But as New York... Yeah, come on, Austin, get in the game. As more New Yorkers get V'd each day, and as key public health metrics continue to regularly reach their lowest rates in months, the first in the nation Excelsior Pass heralds the next step in our thoughtful, science-based reopening. Always science-based, always humanist. Humanist. Okay, I'm about to leave this group. Powered by IBM's Digital Health Pass solution, the platform promises secure verification of test results and V records without sharing underlying medical and personal data. Plus, the flexible technology is built to scale, making it easy to roll out in more states. Oh, there it is. Making it easy to roll out in more states. And there it is. This will be in your state. This will be in my state. This will be in all 50 states, soon to be 10 regions. Following 2 successful pilot demonstrations and a limited beta test, Excelsior Pass launched on Friday with an accompanying mobile wallet for users and a scanner app downloadable by businesses. Oh yeah, just download the app. You want to go outside? You want to go to the store? You want to go to the stadium? Download the app. You think they were kidding when they said that everybody in the world is going to have to get this? Cuomo also recently announced the expansion of the New York Forward Rapid Test Program, which makes low-cost rapid testing available to the public. Results are shared with the State Department of Health's electronic clinical laboratory reporting system, enabling integration with Excelsior Pass. Okay, so you pretty much get the gist of it from that. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, because things like this get videos flagged and taken down. Like what happened to Carol today. I still don't understand that one, because the guy that originally put it up, his video is still up, but Carol's got taken down. Weird. Moving on. This is something that is absolutely, 1, illegal. 2, what? 3, I got this from Carol earlier in her video. I don't think it was the one that got taken down. But this is from the Montana Daily Gazette, which is a newspaper in Montana. Pretty local to Carol, actually. I think she said it was only few miles away from her or something like that. Feds confiscate guns in Flathead Valley with 30 vehicles, 3 tanks, and a helicopter. And oh, by the way, there is a huge blackout on this. Nobody is reporting on this, and that is the point. That's the point of all of these types of things. Look at these goons. They literally look like New World Order troops out of the movie Gray State. You guys remember that? Where the guy was killed? The director, his son, or his daughter, and his wife. These literally look like FEMA troops. Oh man, this is an act of war. That's exactly what this is. This is an act of war. People are worried about John Doe or Jane Doe with their rifle and a couple rounds of ammunition, but they're not worried about this. Go compare this picture to the Gestapo. Go compare this picture to Stalin's secret police, Pol Pot secret police in Cambodia. Go compare it to Mao Zedong's police. This should terrify you to your core. This could happen to any one of us at any given time. And listen to the wording in this. Heretofore ignored by the legacy press and mainstream media, in February, federal authorities invaded a neighborhood in the Flathead Valley with militarized police, terrorized its occupants with what appears to be Waco-level tyrannical overreach. That's exactly what this is, but worse than Waco level. Because now they have all this militarized police from, well, Patriot Act, NDAA, NDRP. Should I even go on? After that stuff was, well, even after the Patriot Act, we then had a totalitarian government. This is what totalitarian government looks like. And some people say freedom looks like this. Oh, freedom's coming to your town, guys. If you even say that at all, and you think this is what freedom looks like, how the hell are you going to know what a dictatorship looks like? Because this is a dictatorship. What did they say? 30 vehicles, 3 tanks, and a helicopter. I can't get over this picture. I really can't get over this picture. Look at them. They look like, well, they are Gestapo style. Where's the insignias? Where? Signaling who they are. Where? This guy's on a mounted machine gun. These guys could go right into the Middle East right now and hold their own. This should never happen in the United States. This is where we are today. I haven't even gotten into reading this article yet because I'm getting so mad just looking at these guys. I bet if there was about 30 or 40 patriots out there, they'd think twice. They probably think they're all big and bad too. Probably go home and beat their wives. $30 vehicles. 3 tanks. Oh, and a helicopter. And they invaded a neighborhood in the Flathead Valley. Carol, if you're watching this, please be careful. Please be vigilant. Report on anything that you see like this, regardless of consequence. In 1992, a federal siege occurred in Boundary County, Idaho, at a location known as Ruby Ridge. We know about that. The 11-day siege lasted from August 21st to 31st and resulted in the deaths of one U.S. Marshal and the wife and son of Randy Weaver, target of the siege. Yeah, Vicky Weaver, that's the woman who got sniped in the head while she was holding the baby. And the son got shot in the head whenever he was chasing the dog outside. This event captured the attention of the nation. To secure the land around this 7-person home composed of 3 adults, 4 children, the federal government saw fit to send in hundreds of federal agents, as well as associated vehicles and air support. The reasons for the siege are not pertinent here, but the fact is many lessons were learned as a result. Those lessons revolved around rules of engagement, the use of force, and other legal concerns. Just a clarification, they don't care about legal concerns. These people shoot first, and they don't even ask questions later because they're the ones who make the laws. One would have hoped the lessons would be applied in future encounters. But in 1993, the same FBI hostage rescue team commander took part in the siege and raid of the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas. After 51 days, the compound was breached. 75 people were killed, including 25 children. Nearly 30 years after Ruby Ridge, it seems the only real lesson federal agencies applied from Ruby Ridge and Waco is they need to do a better job of keeping their activities out of the eyes of the public. Why? Because a similar event occurred in western Montana on February 2nd, 2021, and it's likely you've not heard anything about it. That's the whole point of stuff like this. When they come running up on you with their goons, nobody's going to know because they control the media. Now you see how it works. Look at this. The Bearcat armored personnel carrier is often equipped with... Why isn't it saying what it's equipped with? Anywho, look at this thing. Oh, Lord. Bulletproof tires. Look at all those guns on top. Bullet and explosive resistant windows. It's armored. This is something that belongs literally in a war zone. But according to them, the United States is a war zone, so potato, potato, right? In the early Tuesday morning hours, motion sensors alerted the occupant, hereafter referred to as John Doe. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord that nobody was killed during this. This could have gone very, very, very horribly wrong. And, well, it did. That this even happened is wrong. That there were movement along the driveway in his home. Given the time of day, location of the home, some recent history that will be discussed later, Doe knew he had needed to react, but in a non-threatening manner. His decision was to put on a pair of pants, remain barefoot and shirtless, and move to the front porch with his hands raised in the air. What appeared in the driveway was lead vehicle of 3 Bearcat armored personnel carriers, commonly referred to as personnel tanks, in a convoy of over 30 total vehicles. So they needed all of this for one man. Think about that. People are concerned that people have guns, but they're not concerned about this. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not worried about Joe Schmo and his AR-15. I'm worried about G.I. Joe and his armored thugs. Bearcats are armed with a rotating turret for housing customer-specific weapon systems. 5 gun ports are located on each side of the vehicle, and an additional 2 on the rear. The vehicles are often equipped with 50 BMG or 7.62 millimeter rifles. Military-grade vehicle often used by U.S. Special Forces and the Australian military. 7.62s are used in AK-47s. 50 caliber is a 50 caliber, of course. We all know what that is. But on this day, they were cruising the Flathead Valley with over 30 other police vehicles in tow. So they're just cruising around. Hey guys, the face of totalitarianism coming to a town near you any given day while you're flying your flag. Go put your flag up and then have these guys come rolling up on you. Also surrounding the house were 100 plus federal agents with a helicopter in support. Federal agents immediately took Doe into custody and placed him in loose-fitting flex cuffs in the back of one of the Bearcat vehicles. Inside the vehicle, John was placed on the outer wall. At his feet were loaded weapons. Doe later concluded that this had to be a setup, for if he were to try to free himself, he would likely be killed. Seemingly unbeknownst to the feds, Doe's 88-year-old mother, who suffers from dementia, was asleep in the house. How terrible. How terrible. How terrible. I'm getting a headache already from this stuff. The actual homeowner, Jane Doe, was also in the home. This is why Doe wanted to avoid confrontation in the stress of such an event by presenting himself peacefully. What looked to be quick and peaceful resolution then took a strange turn to the worse. Well, of course, because they're always the aggressors and escalators. They say that you are, but no, they are. Always. Police are supposed to be trained in de-escalation and just peace. They're supposed to be trained to keep the peace and to never use force only when needed. But now they're trained to escalate everything, trust nobody, use force all the time. Show your power, flex your power. Why did agents breach the house when Doe was already in custody? And if this guy were to ask for a warrant, they would have pointed guns at him and said, get out of the way. You know why? Because legalities don't matter in real life. Only military power matters in real life. Scale it down to 2 people. One person has a gun, the other person doesn't. Now let's imagine no laws, no countries, no nothing, just 2 people. One has a gun, one doesn't. Who do you think's going to be telling who what to do? Exactly. Counter to standard practice. team chose to enter a window next to Doe's basement door. The window is over 3 feet off the ground and thus difficult to breach and enter by a team that needs to move fast. There are many windows in the house that would have made a breach entry a lot easier. This window was different not only in its height above ground and the resulting impact on the tactics used, but it's also right next to Doe's bed. If Doe had not exited the house and moved from the front porch to peacefully present himself, the concussion grenade employed by the breaching team would have landed on him while he was sleeping. There's no telling what would have happened in that instance, but John's death is a possibility. You can die from a concussion grenade. If it lands on you, you're dead. What are they doing breaching windows when the guy's already in custody, throwing grenades, concussion grenades into a house where an 88-year-old woman is? Is this not the definition of terrorism? This is terrorism. This is the New World Order. This is what they do. This is what people have been warning about for years and years and years and years and years. But no, they would never do that here. That's a conspiracy theory, you tinfoil hat wearing lunatic. Federal agents obviously knew the home's layout, and they immediately entered Doe's storage and security room and disconnected all security cameras while conducting a search. Though not included on the warrant, the federal agents searched John's gun safes and detached garage and vehicles parked around the residence. Okay, so illegal. Oh, maybe they'll go back and use that community caretaking thing that they like to use so much. Oh, I can't even say what I really want to say. No, I cannot. Nope. But you might understand what I'm getting at. What provoked this Montana raid? Doe's former girlfriend from North Carolina filed a restraining order, which is a civil matter, not criminal, of course, against Doe in that state, claiming he was homicidal, suicidal, a threat to her, had bomb-making materials with intention to cause harm. She also claimed he had booby traps all over the home and the surrounding property, but none of this was true. Now you could see why they want to include in HR 127 to allow to go talk to your exes. Excuse me. So if you ended on bad terms with your ex, which a lot of people do, that's common in human civilization, in the human experience. Yes, people break up. You know, they get in fights, they fall in hard times, nasty divorces. It happens every day. Terrible, yes. Criminal, absolutely not. Doe does in fact hold a federal firearms license and is licensed for all weapons, ammunition, and powders on his property. Okay, so he went through the, quote, legal way, the right way, according to them. I wouldn't be getting no license for any of that stuff. I would just have it. Because I'm an American and I believe in freedom and I love freedom. Whatever, though. Given the fact federal agents can request to see all his material at any time, no siege required, circumstances brought Doe back to Montana, and despite the foregoing, a restraining order secured under false information in North Carolina caused a massive raid in Montana involving federal agents from around the country. Oh, and that's another thing, because they got, national police now. DHS style. Oh, we're out here in Montana. Oh, come on, guys, from Maine, Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Vermont, Connecticut, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Florida, California, Nevada, the Dakotas, Hawaii, Alaska. According to the Constitution, federal operators may not engage in law enforcement activities without permission of the local county sheriff. Something that is often overlooked and ignored, which is the case here. It's always ignored. The Constitution is nothing anymore. It only exists in the minds and the hearts of Americans. Us. And as soon as the last American that believes and lives by the Constitution is gone, that's it. Gone forever. Public records search. Get out of here. Doe was not read his rights until 2 hours into the event. Illegal. He was eventually transported to the Flathead County Jail by Deputy Sheriff. He was not aware of the preceding events until well after the fact. Illegal. Released 3 days later on his own recognizance. Okay, so what's the crime? Some woman that he dated made up a bunch of stuff about him and he gets raided by the feds? With this much military power? Excuse me. Jane was never read her rights despite being questioned by federal agents. Illegal. John, Jane, and John's mother were not the only victims of this raid. John's neighbor, who shares a long drive with him, was detained in handcuffs for 2 hours as he left for work. Illegal. A close friend of John's heard what happened and was detained when he went to the house to check on his well-being. Also illegal. What did those guys do? So, like, if they see you, hey, you're being detained, I'd be like, what for? Well, is there a crime? Am I under arrest? No. Am I being detained? Yes. What crime do you suspect me of committing? They would point a gun to my head and say, shut up. Because we're not a nation of laws. We are a nation of brute force. If they can exercise will and power over you, they will. This is proof of that. This should make every American's blood boil. This is not freedom. This is equal to Soviet tactics. Nazi tactics. There's an awful lot of talk of Nazis running around. People talking about this and that guy down the road, drinking their beer, grilling a steak. Oh, they're a Nazi. No, these people are Nazis. On March 5th, Doe and his neighbor both received mail that contained a list of confiscated weapons, but no ammunition was listed despite it all having been confiscated. Illegal. They seized his property. Illegal. He did nothing wrong. You know how many laws they broke conducting this raid? But hey, if you forget to use your blinker, you're going to have 10 cops on you. How did we get here? How did we get to this point? Oh, that's right. Apathy. Straight, not caring about anything except our big gulps and our televisions. Nobody cares about freedom anymore. Absolutely not. Oh, as long as I'm safe and that guy with the weapons, as long as they got him and he can't hurt me even though he wasn't going to, then I'm okay with that. Oh, but what if it happens to you? That's a conspiracy theory. That's not gonna happen. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Father, cleanse this land. Bring us back to you. Sad part is, that's all we need. The Lord said if we would humble ourselves and repent for our sins as a nation, He will hear from heaven and heal this land. Any land. That's all we need to do. But guess what? You think Americans are going to humble themselves? Peh! You got a better shot of being struck by lightning 10 times in one day. The list further contained only about 20% of the total number of items taken. Oh, so add theft to that. The address listed on the paperwork was John's neighbor's house. It remains unclear why both homes received the notice. Because I feel like they're just going after people now, aren't they? Aren't they? As of the date of the publication of this article, there continues to be a news blackout of this event. John has not been charged with any federal crimes, gun-related or otherwise. Jane's had to pay over $4,000 out-of-pocket repairs for property damage to her home caused by breaching team and the subsequent search. She has received forms to request reimbursement from the feds, though has had to pay thousands of dollars for legal representation. Okay, so he was not charged with any crime, so what? This is not America. Not even close. This is what the founders warned us about. And it's only going to get worse. This could happen to you right now. Yes, as you are listening to me talk. You could look out your window right now and see this. Granted, it would happen to me before it happened to any of you because I'm actually out here putting myself out there and speaking on these things. So not only do they raid your house with all of that military power, they breach your house, destroy your house, harass your neighbors, detain them and your friend, steal your property, terrorize the neighborhood, and you have to pay for it. Does that sound like a good time? Pretty soon they're going to be rolling up on you like that to take you to a camp or to give you a jab. Your choice. The feds spent thousands of tax dollars to execute this raid with agents from around the country, even as far away as Pennsylvania, Florida, Virginia. Now that Joe Biden is so focused on removing Second Amendment from the Constitution, these actions, I'm going to change this word, will become the norm. Americans will be made criminals as unconstitutional measures such as H.R. 8 and 127 passed the U.S. House onto the U.S. Senate, ultimately to Joe Biden's desk. Let's hold accountable the government that works for we the people, because what happened to John is not what America is supposed to be. Well, yeah, I would say. And it doesn't matter who's in charge. Something like this happened to Mr. Duncan Lemp and others under Trump, where people were actually killed. It doesn't matter who's in charge. Both parties, both sides work for the same people. And the agenda is the removal of freedom worldwide and to bring about one world socialist totalitarian government. How stupid can the average American be to look at this? To look at this. And to look at this and be like, well, should have did what you were told even though you didn't do nothing wrong. And you know why we're not paying attention to this? Because we're paying attention to this. Let's look at all the mindless stuff. 5 fun facts about this singer. Oh, man. Look at all these people that sold their souls to Lucifer. On record, admittedly. Oh my God. There you go. There you go. Oh, you can get yourself a donut. All you gotta do is, well, yep, there it is. Yep. So, this is something that we all need to come together on. And we need to put a stop to. We need to have mass movements to demilitarize all police and federal agencies. We need to educate Americans. This is the last place in the world to go. If we lose freedom here, where are you going to go? The whole world's going to be under that world government. You can't go anywhere. And this will be common throughout the whole world. Look at these guys. Those are fully automatic rifles, M4A1s. I could tell the difference between those and AR-15s. Even though they're very similar. Look at this guy with the chain gun. 50 caliber. Riot shields, armored vehicles. This is how they're going to come rolling up on you. This is what they look like, all of them. This is the true face of totalitarianism. And it's worldwide. How are we ever going to get out of this, guys? How are we ever going to get out of this? There's only one way to get out of this at this point. One way. And it's not going to be fun. If we ever wish to have freedom in this country for our children and your grandchildren, this has to disappear. When the people fear the government, that is tyranny. When the government fears the people, that is liberty. This is tyranny. Straight up. This is what a dictatorship looks like. You don't believe me? Go watch old footage of Soviets and Nazis and Mussolini's Stasi police, or whatever they were called. Pol Pot and Mao's. Go look at their police. Go look what they were doing, and then come back to this. I could take this picture, put it in black and white, and sell it on Facebook as Nazi police executing raids on German citizens of Jewish descent. And people would believe me and say, oh, how terrible. And then I would be like, no, this is the United States of America 2021. This is the new world order. This is what it looks like. We're here now. We're in it. We're dug in. And once this reset fully goes through, you're going to see a lot more of this cruising through the neighborhood with 30 vehicles, 3 tanks, and a helicopter. This makes me so angry. I wonder if I could pull up the comments. People falling for the left-right paradigm. Hope he wins millions from their departments, blah, blah, blah. Officers who broke the laws. Nope, won't happen. Yep, nothing will happen. Department doesn't care about the cost. It'll be paid by the taxpayers. Yep, and we're paying for it. That's the worst part. We're paying for our own subjugation. They'll get promotions. Yep. Yeah, the moral of the story. Oh yeah, you men can't be too careful about the women you hook up with. Yeah, yeah. That's the problem. That's the problem. That said, the message from the article appears to be that resistance to gun confiscation is useless. Lay down and roll over people and no one gets hurt. Is that it? 2A going out not with a bang but a whimper. I would say, yeah. And even if it did, which it doesn't, seem useless because you get millions of people in on it, and guess what? Now you got the upper hand. Even if it did seem useless, wouldn't you still want to try? Because you know for certain what's going to happen if you don't. And this person's talking about men have zero rights in modern court of law when they have a conflict with a woman. Women run our government making laws that please our communist globalist enemies is what's taking our freedoms and our constitution away from us in the first place. There's so much wrong with that, I don't even know what to say. You're putting the blame on the wrong people. Yeah, this person. The moral of the story is careful of the women men hook up with. Wow, did we just read two different stories? Yeah, I'm with this person. Oh, look at this. This guy's talking about the anti and the B whatever movement. No, it's not any of that. Has nothing to do with the Hegelian dialectic tactics of the left-right paradigm. It has nothing to do with that. Everything to do with the New World Order. We need the names of these terrorists in law enforcement officer clothing published for everyone to see. They need to never be employed in any line of work in which they are given authority over another human. Oh no, that they're gonna stay in this line of work. Oh, absolutely they will. They're gonna stay right there in that line of work. Yep. Look, if they won't give names, sources, and links to any court filings, then it didn't happen. There should be a link to an indictment available if this is legit. Looks like total clickbait. Wrong. 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 When they do these things, they do them for a reason. And they do them out of, away from the legal way. This person is an idiot. He's one of those people that's just, you don't go, I don't even know what to say. You don't go into that much detail on something that is fake. And a newspaper published it. Here's a link to another incident. I'm not sure about that one. These people, if there should be court filings and indictment, it would be public record. No, they don't do. When they do these things, they do them in secret. Why do you think they were able to be flexible with the so-called law? Because if it was public record, they would have went about it a whole different way. This is like secret police. Talk with like-minded neighbors, plan, prepare. The Marxists are in control of our government. Truth. All these people are still believing in the old idea of America, that there will be court filings and indictments and all of this. Not necessarily. They probably only have the record of the complaint that the woman filed. That's it. Everything else, they keep under wraps. Do these people know how totalitarian governments operate? No, because they don't do any research at all and they just watch television. Anyway, moving on. I wanted to read a little bit more of this. This is the United Nations Small Arms. The thing that we were reading the other day. Well, let me make sure that I got my place here. ATT is okay. That's where we are. This is the United Nations Small Arms No Single Solution. That's right. This is global gun confiscation, of course. And we were down here. It was talking about. It was a couple videos ago. I apologize for that. We were down here somewhere. Did I just lose my spot again? I'm pretty sure I lost my spot again, and I just tried to. But this is about global gun confiscation. In order, oh, here we are. In order to, well, they make it sound so good, but it's in order to leave us defenseless against an all-powerful one-world government. And this is just proof that they've been at this, and this is why the shootings are happening, and the, well, raids are happening now, and this is why there's such a push for gun control, especially in the U.S., because we have about 40% of the world's arms. I just wanted to read a little bit more of this. It's pretty lengthy, so I won't read all of it, but we'll go into it. The ATT has been discussed in the UN since 2006. General Assembly voted overwhelmingly in 2007 to begin formal deliberations on the topic. Member states are currently engaged in the deliberation process, known as Open-Ended Working Group. The OEWG met in March and again in July 2009 and will meet 4 more times over the next 2 years. The eventual outcome should be a legally binding treaty enumerating the criteria for refusing an international sale or transfer of weapons. The contentious question is what the global standard should be, or how should it be expressed. Future criteria are easy to agree. For example, if the buyer's country is under UN's arms embargo, arms transfer should be refused. What if the buyer is located across the border in a country neighboring an embargoed zone? Proximity creates the risk of diversion. Does that mean the buyer's request should be refused? What if the embargo is not imposed by the UN but by a specific state or group of states? Should the ATT require other countries to refuse the sale, thus giving global effect to bilateral or regional ban? All states agree that weapons should not be supplied to terrorists. But under whose definition of terrorist? And under their definition, we are all terrorists. If you go against them, you're a terrorist. It doesn't have to be a guy that goes and blows himself up. It doesn't have to be your idea of a terrorist you have in your head. It could be you, it could be me, it could be your grandma, it could be your cousin, it could be my cousin, it could be your son, it could be my nephew, it could be everybody. In addition, there's the matter of which arms should be covered by the treaty. Some states want to fall back on the convenient formula provided by the UN Register of Conventional Arms. But this is not comprehensive. Under the banner of the Control Arms campaign, thousands of civil society groups around the world are campaigning for an ATT based squarely in the protection of human rights and human security. We're pushing for a treaty that will link each arms transfer decision with states' existing obligations under international law. This means transfers should be blocked if there is substantial risk that those arms will be used in serious violations of international human rights or humanitarian law. In principle, this proposal should not be controversial. Since all member states have already agreed to uphold the provisions of the UN Charter, see that? They admit it. Constitution of the United States, gone. We live by the UN Charter now, guys. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Geneva Conventions. And we went over that Universal Declaration of Human Rights. If you didn't watch that, please go. Please go and watch that. Please. Very good. I went into a lot of detail on that. A lot. In 2 parts. Please go and watch that. However, most states have previously not considered these obligations to be related to decisions about arms transfers. Some countries have opposed the inclusion of the phrase human rights in the treaty, fearing that the phrase will be arbitrarily applied to block their acquisition of weapons for legitimate military or police use. No need to fear, the UN Charter protects such legitimate acquisitions. Of course it does. Of course it protects the military arm. And we went over that. Meanwhile, some Western countries, us, have argued against this phrase as it makes it difficult to get agreement. Of course, it would be easier to get an agreement on a weak treaty than on a strong one, because a weak treaty would not require much change in countries' existing policies, and a weak treaty would still have some symbolic value. Sorry, no, mass killings, intimidation, and torture are real, not symbolic. Only a strong, comprehensive treaty based explicitly international legal obligations will be sufficient to prevent such abuses and to reduce the supply of new weapons to the abusers. They're the ones who push these. They're the ones who plan all of these. For this reason, global disarmament. Reducing the domestic supply of new weapons. While most countries permit civilian ownership of small arms, it doesn't matter if you permit or not, because you have a God-given right to defend your life no matter what with any tool. So I'm not permitted to do anything. And according to the Constitution, no treaty, no foreign treaty supersedes the Constitution. So all of that is illegal anyway. And it says right in there, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Everything that came from the UN Charter and everything that they've built on out of the UN Charter is illegal. Should be considered null and void, and we should be fighting to destroy it. They are at the same time seeking to contain it to moderate levels. What is considered a moderate or acceptable level of gun ownership in society is coming increasingly under scrutiny as governments recognize the need to strengthen their gun laws. Driven by regional and international agreements, popular pressure, and expert advice, gun laws around the world are growing tighter and more uniform. Of course, yep, all in line with the New World Order. The emerging norms include integrated renewable licensing and registration of firearms and owners based on proof of legitimate reason for possession. Legitimate reason for possession, there's a good one. How about I don't need a reason at all, because it's my right. Oh, and if you want a legitimate reason for possession, to help prevent totalitarian takeover. There's my reason. Happy with it? No? Too bad. Limits on types and number of weapons a civilian can possess, minimum age limits, checks of criminal record and other personal information, safe storage requirements. As the new laws reduce the proportion of the population legally entitled to buy or possess arms, as well as the number of each licensee can own, the flow of new weapons into the country will slow. That's the point. And even the words they use, civilian, I hate that term. Because if you call yourself a civilian, you put yourself in their system. You're not a civilian. You're a human being with rights. Your life has value. You were created in God's image. You're not a civilian. You don't have civil rights. No. You're a human being with God-given natural rights. Is that considered too extreme anymore in this New World Order? Closing the gates between the legal and illegal markets. And basically that just says that they're going to close the gates because they're going to make it illegal, and it's all going to be an illegal market. I'm just going to skipping a little bit. Identifying points of diversion. The ITI UN member states took a significant practical step toward disarmament in 2005 with the creation of the International Tracing Instrument for Small Arms. The global agreement commits all countries to labeling guns with identifying numbers or marks so they can later be traced by Interpol if necessary. Well, that's nice. I'm glad to know that Interpol can trace all weapons if necessary, which they will. Many people would be astonished to learn that such a requirement does not already apply to small arms, unlike motor vehicles, which have long been required to bear unique identifying VIN marks. The ITI requires the marking of existing small arms already in state stockpiles, and of new guns to point of manufacture or import. States must keep accurate and comprehensive records of small arms in their jurisdictions. The implementation of these measures will advance disarmament by allowing police to retrace the history of gun recovered on the scene of a crime or conflict, thus identify the dealer, factory, or armory from which the weapon was diverted. This improves the chances of finding and prosecuting the trafficker and of closing any legal or procedural loopholes which may have enabled the diversion. Thus, the ITI is both a tool for punishing criminals and for preventing the growth of the illegal small arms stockpile. Unfortunately, the ITI is a voluntary agreement, not legally binding. Yeah, kind of like taxes. How you're expected to voluntarily comply. And they say, unfortunately, for now. Nonetheless, many countries are demonstrating admirable commitment to its implementation. International donors such as the USA have also provided finance and machinery to help poorer countries set up marking and tracing systems, concrete and practical step toward disarmament. Good old USA leading the charge, right? Stopping diversion from states or armed groups, stockpile security, DDR, and SSR. State arsenals are a significant source of small arms entering the illegal market through theft, corruption, or plain short-sightedness. The most basic precaution against such diversion is to implement proper stockpile security. Firstly, a matter of physical security, i.e. robust construction of storage buildings and locks, round-the-clock guards. The worst example of failure in this regard was the raids by civilians on Albanian government arsenals in '97, which 650,000 guns were stolen. That sounds like a good thing to me, because wasn't the Albanian government abusing their citizens? Yeah, they were. And you can go check that out. So what I see here is people, human beings, raiding their abusers' arsenals, acquiring defense mechanisms to defend themselves against the abuser. What's the big deal? In reality, not their laws or their definitions. In real reality, what's the big deal of that? And keep in mind, when I'm reading this, most people you know are good people, and they have firearms, and they're good people. Most people that have arms are good people. Otherwise, we all would have been dead a long time ago. And that's just the truth. Mentioned earlier, the biennial meeting of states in '08 addressed the issue of stockpile security. States agreed to apply stringent record keeping on stockpiles to alert authorities to leakage or diversion to help identify surplus weapons. Member states agreed to tighten storage conditions overall. Civil society also recommended rigorous staff training and disaster preparedness, reviewing the transport of arms and ammunition to stockpiles. Measures are intended to prevent explosions, but also to stop the movement of weapons from legal state arsenal to illegal domain. Let's see, keep going down. Stockpile security is closely related to security sector and reform, SSR. Another tool for stopping the diversion of weapons from the state to the illegal domain, which is from government to people like us, SSR includes anti-corruption and accountability measures to stop state officials from selling, renting, or lending government weapons to non-state actors. Many governments also need to reform their legitimate but short-sighted traditional practices relating to weapons, especially at moments of transition. For example, when a state agency decides to upgrade its standard issue firearm to higher caliber, they hope to raise money for the upgrade by selling obsolete weapons on the open market. Likewise, when members of the police or army retire, are made redundant, or when people are demobilized from official or unofficial armed forces, they are often allowed to keep their military firearms as a parting gift, badge of honor, or reward for service. Some countries, current and former soldiers, police, senior civil servants, and parliamentarians are automatically exempt from national firearm licensing requirements and are allowed to acquire as many weapons as they wish without records being kept. That should be how it is for everybody. All of these scenarios open the gate for guns to migrate from legal to illegal stockpiles. And yes, it was standard practice in the U.S. for people to keep their military service weapon. My grandfather fought in World War II. God rest his soul. He was allowed to keep his M1 Garand from World War II, which he had up until his death in 2006. But guess what? You're not allowed to do that anymore. Soldiers aren't allowed to take their weapons from the military anymore because of this. One aspect of SSR which has received substantial support from donors is disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. Whenever a war comes to an end, large numbers of young people, mainly men, find themselves unemployed and armed. DDR is a process to defuse this dangerous combination by helping ex-combatants return to civilian life with proper training, employment, counseling. However, the first D stands for disarmament, removing of the returnees' guns to prevent them from being used in a crime or traffic. Thus, DDR is a short-term measure for preventing diversion of weapons to the illegal market. Long-term prevention requires the implementation of legal framework to regulate firearms, as in other societies that are not post-conflict. A lot is wrong with that. They're assuming that if you're a former army vet and you come home and you have no job and you have your weapon, they're making it seem like you're going to just go out and start killing people. That's not true. Stopping diversion from civilians. An estimated 75% of small arms are in civilian hands. Good. This encompasses all kinds of categories of arms and owners. Security guards, pistols, farmers, shotguns, hunting rifles, collectors, displays, retailers, stock, gangsters, crime weapons, as well as many millions of guns sitting in homes and cars around the world for no particular reason, or in the general name of security. Part of this huge private arsenal consists of illegal guns in the hands of people not entitled to possess them. They're only illegal because they made it illegal. It should not be illegal. Unless you're convicted of violent crimes and you've hurt people before, then maybe I could see that. It consists of legal, semi-legal, gray guns. Due to lack of data, we can only guess the relative distribution between legal and illegal. We know that many illegal guns came originally from government stockpiles. Others have come from private owners, either deliberately through trafficking or unintentionally through loss, theft, or private transfers. Globally, the private civilian stockpile is less accountable, far less strictly guarded, and 3 times as plentiful as a state counterpart. All qualities that support easy diversion of weapons to the illegal sector. The best way to reduce diversion from the civilian stockpile to the illegal market is to reduce the size of the civilian stockpile, slow the arming of the population, and strengthen regulation of civilian ownership. Reducing the number of owners is reducing the number of potential points of diversion. Strengthening controls make it much harder for guns to migrate to the criminal market. Okay, so this whole thing, they're admitting to global gun control, to global gun confiscation, ultimately disarmament. You have to ask yourself why. I mean, come on. Let's see, where was I at? On the other hand, a regime that includes firearms registration necessarily imposes a higher degree of responsibility. Oh, yeah. The gun is registered in the seller's name with the state. Thus, the seller cannot transfer the ownership unless the state confirms that the buyer is authorized to acquire the weapon. This measure, firearm registration, is perhaps the single most effective tool in stopping diversion of legal arms from civilians. The other provisions are also anti-diversion and anti-trafficking measures, stopping people from acquiring large numbers of guns and ensuring that the purchase and disposal of a gun is not a decision to be taken lightly. National firearm laws should recognize small arms as a product manufactured for killing, and therefore a product requiring strict control. That is why national firearm laws do recognize them as a product only meant for killing. Guns are only meant for killing. Well, the way I see it, and a lot of other people see it, you have guns to keep from being killed. That's my reason anyway. I own guns, and that's because I would like to keep myself from being killed by other people that have guns that would like to try to kill me or anybody else around me. Like if somebody breaks into my neighbor's house and I see they have a gun, you best believe I'm going over there and I'm going to help my neighbors, of course. That's my job. One, as a human being, looking out for others. Two, as just a good person in general would do. I'm not going to let some guy go terrorize my neighbors. No way. But we will stop here, and I will read more of this tomorrow because there's still a good bit to go through. And because we're already a lot in. But as always, I will end with a prayer, the Lord's Prayer. So bow your heads with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not unto temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.